There are probably 1 million YouTube videos on how to cook a steak, and there's about to be one more. I like cooking steak for me and for my friends, and people think it's complicated and you need special equipment. So I got the smoker tube and I got the sous vide machine and the vacuum. You don't need all that. If you live in an apartment like me and you don't have a grill on your balcony, or you don't have access to the grill because it's quarantine, you can make a fantastic steak at home, and I'm going to show you how. So what we have here is a whole ribeye roast. So it's 7 bone, it's bone in. This is USDA prime grade, and it has been aging in my refrigerator for 28 days. Whenever I'm in the supermarket, I always go to the meat section, and if they have good looking steaks or if they're on sale, I just pick up, even if it's just one. And in this case, I went to one of the local grocery shops around here, and they had a sale on their ribeye steaks for $7.99 a pound, and that wasn't a bad price. And I asked the guys behind the counter if they have whole ribeyes that I could choose one from, and when they brought them out, they were saying, we were pricing the choice grade ones, and we were accidentally sent the prime grade. So I got a prime grade 7 bone ribeye roast for prime grade for $7.99 a pound. So I took 2. This is the first one. The other one's still in the fridge. They've been aging for 28 days. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna slice off the chuck end, and we're gonna trim off all the dry meat, all the pellicles. Hey bud, we're making steak. And then I'll show you how I cook it. So it's a process, but it's simple. And the main rule that I follow is don't overcook it. Just use a meat thermometer, no fancy tools. I'll show you how I do it. It does take some time, but it's always guarantees really, really great results. Oh, I forgot to cut off the end first. Hang on. I think I did trim off the tip right before I put it in the fridge for aging, because I wanted to taste it. But let's see what we got here. Not too shabby. That kind of dried out in the process, but this is all getting checked, and you know what? Even the cats don't eat it. I know. $7.99 a pound. Okay, I'm gonna put this aside, and I'll show you how I trim one steak, and then I just do it for the rest. So I score it like this, run my knife out. There. This can be ground and saved. I already trimmed off all the dry meat from around it, and it is fantastic, dry aged, prime grade ribeye fat. Now to pretty it up, I'll just cut like so, and then you could put your knife like this with the bone. This is completely unnecessary. It's just pretty. Look at that. There's a couple things you could do now. If you're going to cook this for a long time, or you're gonna mess around with it on the grill, it actually might fall apart. The cap could separate. I'm not worried about it for this specific steak. The meat tends to be a little firmer when it's dry aged, but definitely if you do this, trim this piece off from here, you might want to take like butcher's twine and just tie it, not too tightly around, but it just won't unravel. You ever seen the steak that it kind of like opens up? Yeah, now I'll show you the next trick. And see that the steaks themselves are thick. I mean, this is a good 2.5 inches thick. It's simply because the ribs themselves, they're not 2 inches thick, but they go in an angle, especially at the sides where you're getting closer to the loin. You see it kind of goes in an angle. You can't cut with the bone because then you kind of fan out your steaks. So if you're gonna cut them straight, you end up getting pretty thick steaks. You don't like it? Anybody want a broken cat? All right, here's the next trick. We're cooking indoors. We don't have access to a smoker. We gotta deal with what we got. Simple tools. What I have here is a pot, just a piece of aluminum foil, and a little rack that doesn't really fit very well, but whatever. And I'm gonna put the steak on here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a small piece of wood, in my case, apple wood. We're gonna light it on fire, we're gonna blow it out, and we're gonna seal this with aluminum foil, and it's going to sit smoking for 30 minutes. And that will add a completely new layer of flavors. It will be amazing. All right, we have the apple wood, and all we need is a small piece. Usually I light it with a small blowtorch, but again, we don't need any fancy equipment for this. So here's what I do. You should probably turn on your stovetop fan. It's not smoking yet, it's just burning. But in the minute we're gonna throw it into the pot, we're going to blow it out, and we're gonna seal it with aluminum foil. And all that smoke is gonna just stay there and get soaked up in the steak. All right, this guy's nice and lit. Can you see it? Just drop it on the aluminum foil. If I drop it on the, just at the bottom of the pan of the pot, it kind of stains it in a weird way. So I'm just gonna blow it out and seal it up. Look at that. Done. No smoke is coming out anymore. It will actually linger in here, and even in half an hour, when we take off the aluminum foil, you actually see some smoke kind of just hanging out, but the steak itself is gonna smell amazing. So you can see, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's actually still smoke, a little bit of smoke coming out. This is that little piece of wood that we put in. Small chip is left. The house isn't full of smoke. It just smells wonderful, like applewood. So now we're gonna put this on a rack in the oven at 180 degrees, 190 degrees. We're gonna stick a thermometer inside, and we're gonna let it slowly come up to temperature almost to the level of doneness. Even if we reach the level of doneness, before we sear it, we would have to let it cool back down, because any excess heat past the doneness point will make our steak overcooked. There. Dead center. It is currently 41 inside. We're gonna set an alarm to about 120. That's when I want my alarm to beep. When I sear it, it's gonna keep on climbing to 130. So this is going into a 180 degree oven for about, I don't know, as long as it takes. And we'll put an alarm on this. That's really all you need, is a meat thermometer. So just stuck like that in the middle. And this guy's been cooking for several hours. We'll just place it over here. This is chillent. Very, very good. But this is for a different time. All right, this is the point where you're gonna wanna turn on your vent fan and open your windows and get a towel ready for the smoke alarm, because you wanna sear, you're gonna make smoke. When that reaches above 500, that's when I'll put the steak on. And to make sure I'm not overcooking, I'll be using an instant read thermometer. This one's like 15 bucks on Amazon. I think it's my second one. I broke one. But no, I don't have a need to buy the $100 thermopen ones. This works just fine. Another thing that I don't use is oil. The ribeye steak is fatty enough. All you do is kind of rub the steak on the pan, and that'll coat it with a layer of fat, and you don't need extra oil, and it's not going to stick. Another tip, I like using these. They're just like a metal mesh racket. I bought 2 of them, I think for $7 at different sizes, and they prevent splatter from oil going everywhere. Super recommended. If you don't have one of these laser thermometers, which are super useful everywhere in the house, you can just see when the pan starts to smoke. That's when you're about ready to put it on. I'm going to take some of the fat side down, and I'm going to coat the pan with the fat, and I don't need to use oil. Like so. And you can see it doesn't stick. I like flipping the steak a lot. You don't end up burning it, and the area that has dried up from the contact with the pan allows moisture to re-reach the surface. I don't know if this is an exact science. I don't know if I'm even right about it, but it seems to work pretty good. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can see all the splatter that this mesh net was catching. It would have gone all over the stovetop. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it off. I'm going to put it on the cutting board, and I'll let it rest, and I'll let all the heat from the searing penetrate the steak. Kind of gonna work its way in. All right, our steak is done. It's around 131 Fahrenheit internal, and I didn't season the steak at all before searing it. Dry brining is great. You put some salt on it and then leave it in a rack in the refrigerator overnight, but this was straight from the fridge from the aging, so no overnight salt, and I didn't put salt and pepper before I seared it because I didn't really use oil, and I find that if I put on coarse salt and coarse ground black pepper, it tends to lift the steak from the pan a little bit, and it doesn't get a really great contact. A lot of times I see steaks that they have these like gray spots in them where there's not good contact, because it's not deep frying, it's not grilling, it's only whatever's physically touching the pan is gonna get seared, and that's okay. I'll just season afterwards. I got the coarse Mediterranean gray sea salt. It comes moist in the package. I really love that. I get it on Amazon. And then just, of course, black pepper. I guess it's time for the money shot. That's not too bad. You can see it's pink through and through, just like if you were to sous vide it. That's it. That's how I cook it steak at home without any fancy equipment, and no grill. We start with a good product. It doesn't have to be prime. It could be choice. Just choose your steaks wisely with a nice big fat cap and as much marbling as you can find. Don't over cook the internal. Take it nice and slow. And if you want to add, more flavors, you can throw it in a pot with some smoke from, chip of apple wood, or you can do whatever you want. It's your steak. Oh yeah, how does it taste? Pretty good.